After bathing in the warm, fuzzy glow of the Mandela years, South Africans today are deeply demoralized people. The lights are going out in homes, mines, factories and shopping malls, as the National Power Authority, Eskom, suffering from mismanagement, lack of foresight, a failure to maintain power stations, and a flight of skilled white engineers to other countries, implements rolling power cuts that plunge towns and cities into daily chaos. Major industrial projects are on hold. The only healthy enterprise now worth being involved in is the sale of small diesel generators to powerless households. But even this business has run out of supplies and spare parts from China. The currency, the rand, has entered freefall. Crime, much of it gratuitously violent, is rampant, and the National Police Chief faces trial for corruption and defeating the ends of justice as a result of his alleged deals with a local mafia kingpin and dealer in hard drugs. Newly elected African National Congress leader Jacob Zuma, the state president in waiting, narrowly escaped being jailed for raping an HIV-positive woman last year and faces trial later this year for soliciting and accepting bribes in connection with South Africa's shady multi-billion-pound arms deal with British, German and French weapons manufacturers. ANC leaders in 2008 still speak in the spiritually dead jargon they learned in exile in pre-1989 Moscow, East Berlin and Sofia, while promiscuously embracing capitalist icons, Mercedes 4x4s, Hugo Boss suits, Bruno Maillet shoes and Louis Vuitton bags, which they swing packed with money passed to them under countless tables as they wing their way to their houses in the south of France. It all adds up to a hydra-headed crisis of huge proportions, a perfect storm as the rainbow nation slides off the end of the rainbow and descends in the direction of the massed ranks of failed African states. Eskom has warned foreign investors with millions to sink into big industrial and mining projects. We don't want you here until at least 2013, when newer power stations will be built. In the first month of 2008, the rand fell 12% against the world's major currencies, and foreign investors sold off more than £600 million worth of South African stocks, the biggest sell-off for more than 7 years. Commenting on the massive power cuts, Trevor Gorn, Professor of Electrical Engineering at the University of Cape Town, who warned the government 8 years ago of the impending crisis, said, "The damage is huge. And now South Africa looks just like the rest of Africa. Maybe it will take 20 years to recover." The power cuts have hit the country's platinum, gold, manganese and high-quality export coal mines particularly hard, with no production on some days and only 40 to 60% on others. The shutdown of the mining industry is an extraordinary, unprecedented event, said Anton Eberhard, a leading energy specialist and professor of business studies at the University of Cape Town. That's a powerful message, massively damaging to South Africa's reputation for new investment. Our country was built on the mines. To examine how the country, widely hailed as Africa's last best chance, arrived at this parlous state, the particular troubles engulfing the Scorpions, the popular name of the National Prosecuting Authority, offers a useful starting point. The elite unit, modelled on America's FBI and operating in close cooperation with Britain's Serious Fraud Office, is one of the big successes of post-apartheid South Africa. An independent institution, separate from the slipshod South African Police Service, the Scorpions enjoy massive public support. The unit's edict is to focus on people who commit and profit from organised crime, and it has been hugely successful in carrying out its mandate. Drug kingpins, smugglers and racketeers have felt the Scorpions' sting. But the Scorpions, whose top men were trained by Scotland Yard, have been too successful for their own good. The ANC government never anticipated the crack crime busters would take their constitutional independence seriously and investigate the top ranks of the former liberation movement itself. The Scorpions have probed into and successfully prosecuted ANC MPs who falsified their parliamentary expenses. They secured a jail sentence for the ANC's chief whip, who took bribes from the German weapons manufacturer that sold frigates and submarines to the South African Defence Force. They sent to jail for 15 years a businessman who paid hundreds of bribes to then State Vice President Jacob Zuma in connections with the arms deal. Zuma was found by the judge to have a corrupt relationship with the businessman, and now the Scorpions have charged Zuma himself with fraud, corruption, tax evasion, racketeering, and defeating the ends of justice. The Scorpions last month charged Jackie Selebi, the National Police Chief, a close friend of State President Thabo Mbeki, with corruption and defeating the ends of justice. Commissioner Selebi has stepped down pending his trial. But now both wings of the venomously divided ANC, ANC Mbeki and ANC Zuma, want the Scorpions crushed, ideally by June this year. The message this will send to the outside world is that South Africa's rulers want only certain categories of crime investigated, while leaving government ministers and other politicians free to stuff their already heavily lined pockets. No good reason for emasculating the Scorpions has been put forward. That's because there isn't one, said Peter Bruce, editor of the influential Business Day. The Scorpions are being killed off because they investigate too much corruption that involves ANC leaders. It's as simple and ugly as that, he added. The demise of the Scorpions can only exacerbate South Africa's out-of-control crime situation, ranked for its scale and violence only behind Colombia. Everyone has friends and acquaintances who have had guns held to their heads by gangsters, who also blow up ATM machines and hijack security trucks, sawing off their roofs to get the cash. Feeding the perfect storm are the two centres of ANC power in the country at the moment. On the one hand, there is the ANC in Parliament, led by President Mbeki, who last Friday gave a State of the Nation address and apologised to the country for the power crisis. Mbeki made only the briefest mentions of the national AIDS crisis. He did not address the Scorpions crisis, the collapsing public hospital system under his eccentric health minister, Manto Tshabalala Msimang, an alcoholic who recently jumped the public queue for a liver transplant, received no attention, and the name Jacob Zuma did not pass his lips. Greatly understated, it is a mess. Its scale will be dramatically illustrated if South Africa's hosting of the 2010 World Cup is withdrawn by FIFA, the world football body. Already, South African Premier League football evening games are being played after midnight because powerful floodlights cannot be guaranteed before that time. Justice Malala, one of the country's top newspaper columnists, called on FIFA to end the agony quickly. I don't want South Africa to host the Football World Cup because there is no culture of responsibility in this country. The most outrageous behaviour and incompetence is glossed over. No one is fired. I have had enough of this nonsense, of keeping quiet and ignoring the fact that the train is about to run us over. It is increasingly clear that our leaders are incapable of making a success of it. Scrap the thing and give it to Australia, Germany, or whoever will spare us the embarrassment of watching things fall apart here. Football tourists being held up and shot, the lights going out, while our politicians tell us everything is all right.